gender-based violence, especially in the situations of conflict, recognizing that such crimes not only undermine peace-building efforts and perpetuate inequality and injustice, but also disproportionately affect women, girls, and vulnerable groups, leading to several severe physical, psychological, and social consequences. Underscored the urgent need to address emerging international concerns, particularly ecocide, with threatened ecosystems, biodiversity, and our shared heritage, and the protection of the environment for our future generation. Reaffirm the crucial role played by parliamentarians where applicable in advancing the universality and effectiveness of the Rome Statute system, strengthening both domestic and international criminal justice while promoting the rule of law and safeguarding human rights. Resolve to, number one, continue engagement and dialogue on the ratification of the Rome Statute of the ICC and its amendments, and ensure global accountability for the crime of genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. Number two, ensure the adoption of the state parties of domestic legislation that fully aligns with the Rome Statute by incorporating the definitions of the four core crimes, general principles, and the rights of survivors and communities of victims, and by guaranteeing full cooperation of states parties with the ICC. Promote stronger international cooperation by calling the state parties to comply with those international legal obligations under the Rome Statute and encouraging them to conclude bilateral cooperation agreements with the ICC, including the enforcement of sentences, protection and relocation of witnesses, and interim and final release. Urge state parties to provide
sufficient political.
I have problems with these italics that they have put in.
State parties to provide sufficient political.
Yeah. Urge state parties to provide sufficient political and financial support to the ICC to ensure independence, effectiveness, and efficiency, and condemn any threats of political interference that could undermine the very functioning of the court. Cognizant of the ongoing discussions and differences in legal and political views among the states on the role of ICC on the issue, strengthening national legal framework to address gender-based crime, ensuring access to justice for survivors and communities of victims. By A, addressing the root cause of the sexual violence and acknowledge that gender-based crimes can occur in any context, including during times of peace. Adopting or amending legislation to combat gender violence, including the ensuring access to justice to survivors and communities of justice, and providing the necessary framework to guarantee that these crimes are prosecuted with the same level of seriousness as other crimes. Providing recognition and support for survivors and communities of victims, especially those affected by gender apartheid and other systematic gender-based violence. Urge legislation to take tangible actions through their respective legislative and oversight roles in order to protect the environment for our future generations by including large-scale environment destruction in their criminal codes. Defend the independence and impartiality of the ICC and denounce the sanctions level against the court so that its organs can continue to its essential work unhindered by political pressure or threats. acknowledge the critical role of human rights defenders and civil society organizations to upholding accountability and ensure that these protections from any threats or attacks, including by strengthening the civic space and guaranteeing their participation in relevant accountability in justice processes. And number 9, promote public awareness of the ICC and international rule of law by fostering public debates to raise awareness on the importance of the Rome Statute system, including by engaging, respecting, and addressing perspectives on its jurisdiction, applicability, as well as perception of politicization, and building support for the principles of international justice and accountability for the most serious crimes. I presented to you this forum for adoption. If we are all in agreement, please raise your hands. Sorry? I have made a suggestion if we in general agree on that. Kindly send your suggestions so that it could be incorporated in the final document. Yeah.
Because I support the declaration. The only thing is, and that's what I'm going to add, I'm not going to read out the paragraph. It's also important to put more emphasis of what we can do for the victims. So it's about supporting victims' activity.
Can you formulate that in there, please? Can you formulate that or you leave it to the secretariat to do it? Okay.
Yes.
Fine. Fine, that is fine. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, in terms of the drafting, there is a problem with the logical flow of the points. There are some 2 points around the ICC that at the end, they should actually be at the top.
We
so
can
you should
we can rearrange that. That's not a problem. Okay. That's it. Can we adopt it now? Okay. Yeah. Is there a
Minister of Justice?
Yeah.
My apologies. I would like to make a comment that perhaps, echoing what my colleague said during his intervention, that if there would be a possibility to make a link in the language of national investigative systems and perhaps the LHC as a mechanism through which that can be supported. Of course, that is something that supports the spirit of complementarity of the ICC as well. I can put a suggestion in writing, but I don't know if that's possible within the system or if a member should do so.
No.
Thank you.
You can write to the PGA because we can further discuss that. Now, can I finally have some agreement on the document? Please raise your hand and then. Thank you very much. I think this has been a successful 2 days of debate. We have heard various viewpoints. Not everyone was in agreement on everything. But by and large, we all moved in the same direction, and we want this organization to move forward. We want the ICC to move forward. And if there are any fine-tuning to be done, I think we should be looking to the future to do that. Otherwise, I think it's doing a great job, but it can do better. Thank you very much, all of you. No, I know, I'm coming to that. Yesterday we had a group photo of all the international delegates. However, the Pakistan delegates were waiting upstairs and they didn't get a chance to join the group. So today I will request whoever is present here that at the end of this session, if they can all gather around here only, we can have one more group photograph. Thank you.
So if you allow, we can have the group photo here. This middle portion.
Yeah, complicated. Karan and Shamoon will just stand here and do it. Yeah, go ahead.